Hi, I'm Ashley Cooley, a birth, baby, and sleep specialist and mom of 3. There's so much information out there, right? This show is dedicated to helping you clear out the noise so you can figure out what will work best for your baby and your family. If you're looking to learn more about your baby, gain more confidence in your parenting, and get as much sleep as you can through it all, you've come to the right place. Bringing up baby is about to get a little easier. Hey everybody, this is Ashley Cooley. We're back again with another episode with our good friend Kelsey Marr. And today Kelsey and I are breaking down a few different, old wives' tales or myths or these medical reasonings for things that we're just not sure. Is it really fact? Is it really like we have to take this to the bank? Or are these just some old wives' tales or things that we maybe just need to know a little bit more about? So we're going to be talking about things like in your pregnancy, if you're carrying your baby high or if you're carrying your baby low, because there seems to be lots of people out there who think that you may be having a boy if you're carrying low or a girl if you're carrying high. I think that's how people usually think that's how it goes. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. We're also going to talk about if you have heartburn in your pregnancy, which a lot of people do. I had no idea quite this many people have heartburn in their pregnancy, what makes total sense. So we're going to talk about if the severity of your heartburn has anything to do with how much hair your baby has. Do you guys ever hear that one? Heartburn equals baby has lots of hair. So we're going to break this down and see what the research says, because oddly enough, there's actually a study on this specifically. So we're going to talk about it. And last but not least, this isn't really more of a myth, but it's more of something that we do hear about, and we're really Kelsey and I are diving into, like, what does the research say on this? Is it truly something that we should avoid, or is it okay if it happens or we do it? And that is sleeping on your back or just laying on your back while you are pregnant. All right, so without further ado, let's get into the research and the science. Let's say hi to Kelsey again and let's dive in. Big question for you did you say you're 31 weeks pregnant?
I think so.
You're in the home stretch.
The third trimester.
Whatever they call it. Yeah. All right, you're in the third trimester. So have you been lying on your back at all, Kelsey? How do you feel about that?
I haven't. So this is something like I hear from clients a lot, and they'll be like, oh, I can't sleep on my back. I can't sleep on my stomach, which is always...
Well, sure. Physically as you progress.
And I understand the emotional turmoil of that. I am a stomach sleeper, and I would love to be able to sleep on my stomach. And then they also, I can only sleep on one side, or I need my pregnancy pillow to sleep on my... I forget if it's supposed to be your left or
probably
right
your
side.
Left for your heart.
So,
but
yeah.
You know what I hear? I hear from people... or I see it online, like newly pregnant, like just found out, maybe haven't even gone to the doctor yet. And they're like, what do I do? I'm a back sleeper. Like,
yeah,
what am I going to do?
Well, and so the idea behind it is that, the weight of baby is going to, if you're in a particular position, often it's said lying on your back, the weight of baby is going to compress blood vessels, and that baby isn't going to get the blood and oxygenation that they need.
Okay.
When we actually look at the research and do a deep dive on it, this wouldn't, like, the weight of baby, your first trimester is not going to be a concern anyways, because
first trimester.
Well into my third trimester, my baby weighs probably like 3 to 4 pounds right now. They're not very big at this point. But also, you are going to become physically uncomfortable if those blood vessels are being compressed long before it's an issue for baby. So you're unlikely to be able to sleep on your stomach because when you're this far along. I slept on my stomach until I physically couldn't. And for me, mostly that's been like, if I sleep on my stomach, just all of my organs get compressed, and it's really uncomfortable. But whether you sleep on your right side, your left side, or your back, it really doesn't make a difference in terms of your baby's well-being or yours. You're going to get uncomfortable and shift position even in your sleep.
That's what happens, eh? I started on my side and I woke up on my back, and oh my gosh, I don't know how long I was like that for.
Yeah, and if you think about it in terms of, like, we talk about this too in terms of baby sleep. We say put them on their back in their crib, and then I always get parents coming to me being like, my baby started to roll and I put them on their back and now I have to wake up and move them back to their back because now they're on their stomach. And by the time your baby can roll, it's fine. You put them on their back, and then whatever position they get into, they're in that position. They can move themselves around.
Unswaddled.
Unswaddled.
Yes.
Yeah. They can move themselves around. If they're in a position that's not conducive or healthy for them, they will move. The same goes for you. You don't need to, like, wedge yourself into a position and stay in that position on your left side.
You can if you're comfortable. I always had to move sides because my hip would get sore and then I'd have to shift for that reason.
Like, I get this sense of, I don't know, some sort of discomfort, and I roll over in bed and say to my partner, oh, baby needed to shift. I don't actually know what that discomfort is, but I'm uncomfortable for some reason. So I'm
fair enough.
Blaming it on the baby. If you find that a pregnancy pillow helps you, go for it. Sometimes it can be great support for your belly if you want to sleep on your side, but by no means do you have to actually stay on your left side in order to protect baby.
So even you're at prenatal yoga, and maybe they won't get you to do this in prenatal yoga. I don't know, but like if they're lay on your back, if you're comfortable, like you can totally do it if you're comfortable.
Yeah.
So I think the fear comes from, like, I'm worried that if I do it in my sleep, or if I'm doing it, that I won't know that something's wrong, and just laying on my back in itself is wrong. So now we know it's like, actually you would feel something long before anything would affect your baby, and by you feeling uncomfortable, you're going to move.
Yeah. And that said, like, if for you it takes stress off to follow that recommendation, like anything else, you do what's right for you. But if you wake up and you've been on your back and you don't know for how long and you're concerned,
it doesn't matter. You're fine.
Doesn't matter. You're fine.
Excellent.
Yep.
Okay. Let's bust one more myth, shall we? If you have heartburn in your do you have heartburn in your pregnancy?
In the last week, I have had heartburn for the first time in my life. At first, I had to, like, go to my partner and be like, I think I have heartburn. Is this what heartburn is? And it's the worst thing ever. I don't like it.
Oh, no.
No.
Well, so if you were to tell someone, if somebody said, hey, Kelsey, how are you feeling? You're like, I've been feeling pretty good, but I've got this really nasty heartburn that just started. What a lot of people would say to that is, oh, your baby must have a lot of hair. Tell us, Kelsey, is this true? Is this accurate?
So, like, the short answer is no. About 78%, according to several studies that I've looked at, about 78% of pregnant people experience heartburn during their pregnancy.
Wow, that's quite a lot.
It's quite a lot.
Oh.
And part of that has to do with, like, we're sharing our thoracic cavity with another human being. Our organs are all moved around. I know I find I have a lot less stomach capacity right now than I normally do. So I've had to, like, eat more frequently, but eat less in a sitting because I can't physically fit it into my belly or into my stomach. And then it's always like I eat and then I move and something gets squashed the wrong way, and that's what causes the heartburn, right? That space that you normally have that helps keep what's in your stomach and out of your esophagus is being squished because something is taking up all of your space. But how bad your heartburn is not related to the sex of your baby or your characteristics as a pregnant person in terms of your age, how many babies you've had, or your weight. It really is like it really does have to do with, like, that reduction of space within your thoracic cavity. And there's I found it surprising the number of studies that have been done on whether or not there's a relationship between heartburn and baby's hair growth.
There's like specific studies looking just like
this
that.
One is called Pregnancy for Folklore Revisited, the Case of Heartburn and Hair.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow. And so they did what's called a linear analysis between heartburn severity and fetal hair when baby was born, the hair volume. Okay. And what they found was that contrary to the expectations, there is not an association between heartburn severity and the amount of
so not a cause, which we know, and not an association either.
No.
So it's literally just something that somebody said one day.
And you make a good point to like make that distinction between cause and association, because we know like fetal hair is not causing you to have heartburn. One, your fetus is in a space that's completely separate from your digestive system. Yeah. And two, that like association, so a relationship, right? There's different types of relationships. There's causal relationships and correlative relationships, and it just doesn't exist.
Neither of them.
Yeah, it's not statistically viable.
I love that there's a study
it's also like, you know, folklore is folklore for a reason. Sometimes it's fun and it gives us a way to connect with people, and you know, babies are born with different amounts of hair. So.
Yeah, it gives us something to ask about, talk about. So I just thought of one, carrying high or low. And people say, oh, you must be having a boy. You're carrying low. Yeah. Or do you hear that much? Or is...
I've heard it in the context of like, not in terms of my pregnancy. I've heard it in like, I've heard similar things. Yeah. Not having looked specifically for a study on this, my guess would be no. Because I don't think that fetal sex is going to impact that. My guess, again, not having looked at a study, would be that it has a lot more to do with the birthing person's physiology and with their abdominal muscles. Totally. In terms of like how big is your torso? How big is your torso? Yeah. Because how big your torso is, like your uterus will be slightly differently positioned within your torso. And then how are your muscles and ligaments supporting that uterus as it grows?
Right. And where are you in your pregnancy? Because if you're close to the end, baby could have dropped. And
sometimes babies drop at different points during a pregnancy. It's not necessarily an indication that like
you're having a boy
a boy or girl, or that you're having a baby soon. Because I will see that too as like, well, my baby hasn't dropped. I'm not like I'm 40 weeks pregnant and my baby hasn't dropped, and it's like, well, there's a lot of factors that we look at for whether or not your labor may be close. Yeah. But again, I haven't looked at the research specifically on where you carry and the sex of the baby, but my guess would be an educated guess.
Yeah. Would be, I think you can go with that. Yeah. Okay. Excellent.
Cool.
If you're looking for more information or support along your parenting journey, check out birthbabysleep.ca. That's where you're going to find prenatal classes, postpartum and new baby resources, and sleep support during the childhood years. Lastly, but certainly not least, if you got something out of this episode or our show in general, leaving a rating or a quick review goes a really long way to helping others find us. So please consider leaving one. That's all for now. I'm Ashley Cooley, and we'll see you back here next time.